It is that time of the week. College football returns tonight, and this week, Thursday and Friday night, some intriguing group of 5 games. Houston, Tulane, I've already mentioned. But Friday night, a very intriguing game that's suddenly become a little more interesting. Air Force and Boise State. Air Force over the last few years has had a little more success against Boise State than many other teams in the Mountain West. And Air Force is coming off of a win at Colorado last week. Air Force is on the rise this year. I don't think they have enough to keep up with Boise State. It will be a close game. I'm going to take Boise State about, say, 24-17. Florida has a backup quarterback starting. Felipe Franks is out for the year. Luckily for Florida, they're playing Tennessee. Should be an easy win for Florida despite the backup quarterback because, quite frankly, Tennessee's terrible. A couple teams I think are that people aren't talking about as being on upset alert, but they are. I'm going to start with TCU. Shane Buechele and SMU have been rolling offensively the last couple of weeks. They look pretty good. They're not getting the respect they deserve in the American Conference. TCU is a solid defensive team, as they always have been under Gary Patterson, but I think SMU's offense can make enough plays to keep it close and give them a chance to win. I don't necessarily think they will, but I think they will keep it close. Another team that is definitely on upset alert, Texas. Oklahoma State has owned Texas this decade. They've won like 7 out of the last 8 meetings or something like that. And quite a few of them have been when Oklahoma State was the underdog or the lower-ranked team or even unranked, such as last year in Stillwater when unranked Oklahoma State beat 6th-ranked Texas. Texas's defense is going to be the key. They really struggled against LSU. We all know Oklahoma State doesn't really have a defense. But if Texas's defense struggles again, and there's a good possibility that it does, because Oklahoma State's got some stars on offense as usual, it could become a shootout, and there's a very good possibility that Oklahoma State would win that. Oklahoma State in a shootout is a fair bet. Texas's defense is going to have to step up and play better Saturday night than they did against LSU, which Oklahoma State's not as good as LSU, but their offense, as it has been for a while now, is very explosive. Another Big 12 game that I think could be an upset. I don't know why a lot of people, after last week, still think West Virginia beating Kansas is a guarantee when it is the farthest thing from it. I'm going to pick Kansas to win that game. I like Les Miles and the Jayhawks to go to 3-1. That would be something. That would be something. Another interesting game on Friday night, Utah takes on USC in Los Angeles. Utah has struggled against USC at the Coliseum. USC is definitely playing for Clay Helton's job here, but I think this year Utah is going to be too good for him, and I think the Utes will come away with a win. However, there's no denying that after last week, this is a win USC desperately needs. Speaking of USC's loss last week to BYU, I'm going to pick the BYU Cougars again to beat a Pac-12 team. I think they'll take down Washington. I don't think Washington is very good this year, not as good as they've been the last few years. I think BYU, Kalani Sitake has them on the rise. I think they'll upset Washington, and I actually think that'll be enough to get them into the AP Top 25 next week. Moving on to a big game in the Big Ten. You kind of get the feeling that it's not quite a must-win game, but there's some pressure on Jim Harbaugh, who doesn't really have a signature win over a ranked team on the road. 0-6 as underdogs. get the feeling there's a lot of pressure on him to win this game at Wisconsin. Can they stop Jonathan Taylor is going to be the question. I don't think they can forever. I think they can contain him initially, but I think eventually he'll break free. I think that Michigan offense is going to be their doom, and I think Wisconsin runs them out of the stadium. An intriguing game in the SEC that is not Notre Dame, Georgia, is Auburn, Texas A&M. Auburn's better than I thought they'd be. Bo Nix has been very impressive. However, on the road against Kellen Mond at the 12th man, I'm going to pick the Aggies of Texas A&M to defeat Auburn. I know this has been a road team dominated series, but I got to go with Texas A&M this year. Meanwhile, up in Pennsylvania, Pitt, coming off that tough loss to Penn State, doesn't get any easier for them. UCF goes up there. I don't think it's going to be close. Give me UCF by, I'll go 3 scores. UCF like 45-24. I do have my problems with the UCF fan base. I think they're quite delusional, but that does not distract me from the fact that that football team is really good. They're going to beat Pittsburgh without a problem. Now I move on to a team that's kind of disappointed me so far. UCF's previous opponent that they easily blew by last week, Stanford, sitting at 1-2 and playing Oregon this week. And I got to say, I don't think Stanford has much of a chance. Their defense looks lost at times. Their offense is late to the game. It appears they just are not like functioning well right now. Give me Oregon probably in a blowout, to tell you the truth. And that'll do it for this week. Can't wait to see some very entertaining games and another very exciting week of college football.